Well, how do there, chums, design Captain Steve. Now, I was away all this weekend, so I missed the Bethesda sort of game show, and what I came back to on Twitter was a whole shed load of messages saying you got to check on out Starfield. So yeah, I've been checking it out, I've downloaded the trailer, and we're going to be doing a bit of a deep dive into what I've spotted inside the trailer and what I'm most looking forward to. So yeah, let's get into it. Heck yes. So now the trailer starts off with, guess what? A Starfield! Yeah, so sort of the galactic map, if you like. I'm going to make comparisons to No Man's Sky. I mean, if you watch my channel, you know I cover No Man's Sky. So there's going to be some comparisons drawn here. Now, inside of this galactic map, you can see there that they tried to draw a waypoint first of all, and it showed a break. So for whatever reason, you can't jump there, so they had to plot an alternate course. Now, I'm wondering whether, just like in No Man's Sky, that you don't just fly from system to system. You go to a galactic map, you plot a course, and then it jumps you there and it loads in the other planets. Just like No Man's Sky, and probably some sort of warp animation. Just like No Man's Sky, perhaps. That's what I'm envisaging may happen.
It's hard to express how excited all of us at Bethesda are to be here with you today. We're so grateful you're spending the time, and we know you've waited a long time to finally see Starfield. It's easily our most ambitious game ever. Like our previous games, it's an epic role-playing game where you get to be who you want and go where you want. But this time, you'll be exploring space. So let's jump right in. This is early in the game as you arrive on the mysterious moon of Crete.
Righto, okay, so we're looking at the moon of Crete, which is pretty darn freaking excellent, but look at all these formations of rock that are going on inside this planet. And it looks like coral bushes, which is pretty nice. I love the fact that they're red and they sort of jump out a bit from the rest of the terrain. And there's particle effects, plumes of like gaseous smoke coming out of this moon. And I can't see any sort of patterns to placement, and a lot of these rocks look fairly different from one another, and I can't imagine they would have crafted all these as individual assets. So I wonder whether there might be some procedural generation going on. Now, the ship looks freaking epic, doesn't it? It looks really nice. Now, later on, they talk about customization of ships. Wait till you get to that. Yeah, don't tune out. Now, the interior of the ship, I love how grimy it looks with all the wires and things. And that mech, I think, is about human height, because at the moment we're going out and we're in first person mode perspective, but later on it jumps into third person, so stay tuned! So one of these formations, they go to scan, and it swaps to a cutter, which is kind of like a multi-tool. And there's photo mode listed at the bottom, did you see that? So there could be photo mode. But as he was scanning, it actually comes up with fauna and flora, just like No Man's Sky. And look at that little space critter. It looks like a trilobite. Freaking lovely. A land-based trilobite at that. Very cool. Here we go. Here's third-person mode perspective. And you can see here he's got a bit of swag to him, hasn't he? He's actually quite a bulky chappy, which I quite like that. He's not sort of, super athletic. So you can make a realistic-looking character or model of yourself, if you wish, into game, which I love that. And the fact that these creatures didn't attack him. So not everything is going to attack you, even if though it looks aggressive. But it's nice that you have got a gun or a sidearm to protect yourself against such shenanigans. Right, so this cave formation, you've got the stalactites from the ceiling, and there is crafting going on here, people. Now, a little bit later, you actually see that they're putting down an outpost, and it shows you the costs of how much you're going to need. And I don't think this is going to be very grind heavy when it comes to resource gathering because of the costs. And you see how many resources they've got to build their outpost. So we'll get to that in a bit, so play close attention. 23 XP for doing some of that mining or reaching this facility. I couldn't tell which he got that sort of XP from, but he's just located Crimson Fleet, which are like pirates. And you can see there on that radial, there's options of different sort of weapons you're going for. I love the fact it's got the ammo counter in nice big freaking numbers on your actual weapon, but it's also below as well. And you can see there he's got 10 frag grenades. It goes up to 11 in a moment, and then he throws one, it drops down to 10, which is pretty darn freaking sweet. I'm loving all the sorts of dust in here and also the lighting effects. What I'm not so keen on here, though, is you see there's two people there. One of them turns around and sees him, and he decides to shoot the other one in the back. I was going to complain about the actual NPC AI, but I'm going to complain a bit more about the actual player AI on that one. Well, it's not AI, but you know what I mean. Just I. But anyhow, there you go. Throws out a grenade. Boom. Done. I love the way that guy just hit the ceiling. When he scanned this planet earlier, it actually said what the gravity reading was, which was 0.55. So I can only imagine that there's going to be different gravitational fields on different planets. And look at the board up there. I mean, I know it's all about lockpicking, but it says about some sort of experimental weapon. It looks like some sort of creature out of frickin' Stranger Things. My mind is going 10 to the dozen at the moment about what all this could mean, but the lockpicking, I thought that looked quite fun. Now, all these pirates just say pirate, apart from that guy that says Brogan, so I can imagine he's some sort of boss, but when he killed him, he only got 5 XP. Even though he was like level 5 and the rest of them were level 2, he's clearly a boss. Not much XP. You got more XP from getting a frickin' rock off a cliff. I mean, what's that all about? And why does this pirate just walk on out and say, yeah, just shoot me in the back? I don't mind if I explode. 5 XP. Oddities. So a lot of this, I guess, is early game footage, and some of this is all going to be ironed out.
After some initial encounters, you're invited to join Constellation, who, in the future the game is set in, are the last group of space explorers. To meet them, you'll head to the capital city of New Atlantis.
New Atlantis. I love the name of this, and it's got sort of vibes to me that sort of say Mass Effect at this sort of stage, and it's quite nicely realised. I mean, there's not much movement going on with those flags, or with those vines, or pretty much anything else other than the NPCs walking around. You know, it's actually looking quite nice. I like the skin textures as well, and the fact that the smartwatch opens up the doors. Let's have a listen to some of the audio cues in the actual speech, shall we? Here you go. I'll shut up for a second, people.
Question of all. What's out there? These artifacts could be everything we've been looking for. As to what they are, what they're building.
These artifacts, they sort of they give me notes of like the Atlas and the knowledge stones and the monoliths and all that sort of stuff from No Man's Sky. But something that we need to talk about is some of the facial expressions and the lip syncing. I thought it was pretty good. I've seen better, but you know what? This is pretty darn freaking epic stuff. Far better than perhaps what we even saw in Cyberpunk. Yeah, like it a lot.
The man who sold me this told me that it spoke to him.
Of course.
The emphasis with the eyes spoke to him. Yes, really like it. I'm liking the visuals and the cues on this. I mean, yes, I've been playing No Man's Sky, which is very sort of cel-shady and cartoony, but this is very realistic. But I think it does it quite nicely. I mean, that looks like a ship interior there, with all the crew in there. They talk about this in a moment with ship crews and interiors. Stay tuned, because it's got me super excited, that bit. It really has. But this is all about the story and how each planet and each faction has their different feels. And I think they've successfully pulled this off. It looks freaking ace, doesn't it? It really does. And some of these sort of environments, I mean, that was 0G, and did you see those creatures? Oh my days, did you see that fauna? It looks freaking epic. And you see they were doing loads of mining and resource gathering. It's going to be very varied. Gameplay is what I'm getting from this. Oh my days, did you see the size of that giant freaking fauna? That was a Diplo E3 moment right there.
That gives you a look at the stories in Starfield. But ultimately, it's not our story, it's the story you create by who you are and the choices you make. And that starts with character creation. It's our most flexible yet. You can customize all the elements of how you look. You'll pick a background that gives you 3 starting skills.
It says here you spent some time as a diplomat. Having a way with words might prove useful.
There are optional traits, and these come with unique advantages and disadvantages. But it's not just in how you can look, but in how your character plays and develops. The skill system combines the best from our previous games, and you can unlock new skills as you level up, and then you rank those skills up by using them and completing challenges. And there's deep crafting systems, from running research projects with the resources you find, to crafting weapon mods needed to survive.
Okay, alright, enough said, take my freaking money, but it just keeps getting freaking better. I mean, look at those faunas as well, the aggressive fauna on planets. That's what you need, a sense of freaking, oh my god, what's on this planet when you land. And look, this is the base building that I was on about, where you build yourself an outpost. But if you look at the costs at the top corner of how much each of those sections costed, it wasn't all that much. So I don't think it's going to be too grind heavy. And I love the fact that you can recruit different people for your base, but not only that, for your ship. Oh, and I've done some pause frames of each of those sorts of attributes for your character towards the end. I've put some stills up, so stay tuned for that. But look at these interiors, and you get to fly your ship as well. This is freaking epic stuff. These are your crews, and look how different those interiors look as well. I'm going to shut up and let you listen to this bit.
There's loads of different modules, ship manufacturers, and more. I have to say, it's so cool. We just absolutely love this.
This is something that I wish No Man's Sky had for a very long time, and it's going into this game.
It's not just how the ship looks, it's how it performs, from engines to shields to weapon systems, because yes, you can fly it.
Thrusters boosted.
Now, as that ship took off and went up into space, it looked like a cutscene, like an animation. So I don't know whether there's going to be an animation for landing and bring you down to the planet and you land. And, you know, you don't really get to control its landing, whether it's just a cutscene. Because everything, it's kind of outside the ship. All the animations we've seen so far, you see all the dust particles coming up. And yes, it looks great. But it doesn't look as sort of seamless as the No Man's Sky transitions. I could be wrong. There's a planet there, No Man's Sky. The ship combat looks pretty cool. And it looks like you can adjust your views from being inside the cockpit or being outside of your cockpit, which is pretty darn sweet. And it looks like there's some rebalancing that might go on the old D-pad over there as well, which looks pretty darn freaking gnarly. Now, yeah, I held up a PlayStation 4 pad, a 5 pad, but yeah, this is Xbox exclusivity when it comes to console. I will be playing on my PC, and I will be plugging in my PlayStation pad. Hooray for me. Anyways, this looks freaking epic. There's a part where you see it docking onto some sort of space sort of contraption. These look like mining vessels in space, much more space station-y-esque than what I would say it looks like a space station. Does it look as alien as No Man's Sky? I'd say they've got the frickin' fauna nailed, but I'm not seeing any sort of NPCs or actual intelligent races that look alien. But this is just in the demo footage, and this is the first footage we've seen here. Did you see that? You got like 23 XP for blowing up a ship, so it looks like you might get rewarded better in space than you do on planets.
We can't wait for all of you to experience the game. Thanks again for being with us today, and thanks for all the support you've given us over the decades, especially on this game. It's been an incredible journey for us making it, but we know that's really only the beginning, for it's when all of you play it that the real journey begins. And you may be wondering, just how big is this game? So we thought we'd take one last moment and show you. Let's take a look at one of our planets, Jemison. You can land into Atlantis, but you can also land and explore anywhere on the planet. And it's not just this planet, it's all the planets in the system. From barren but resource-heavy ice balls to Goldilocks planets with life. And not just this system, but over 100 systems. Over 1,000 planets, all open.
Okay, well that system was Alpha Centauri, which is our neighbouring solar system. But I didn't see our solar system there. And some of those other ones, I've googled them, you know, Jaffa and Chennai and the others, didn't pop up. So, yeah, I don't think they've modelled this on real solar systems. Oh, crystal biome! Oh, look at that fauna! Look at that fauna! Oh my... For fuck's sake, I want to play this, I want to play this now. This looks freaking phenomenal, people. So, yeah, I am super, super excited for this. And some of these terrains, I can only imagine have been done with some sort of procedural generation. If they're talking thousands of planets, or 1,000 planets, that's a lot of planets to do handcrafted. So, I'm not... I know I asked you at the start to put your thoughts inside the comments or whether you think there's some procedural generation going on here. But I've got to say, looking at these last bits of clips, that there has to be some sort of procedural generation going on there. They could have handcrafted all this, surely. But it's freaking phenomenal. Anyway, I did say I'll be putting up some stills towards the end. So here comes some of the stills people. Now I've added in some from the actual ship building. You can see here that some of these are going to affect your mobility more so than others. And yes, they're all going to add 4 crew on, which I kind of love this. That you've got a bit of a choice when it comes to different landers, not only in aesthetic looks. But here we go, here's all of the traits, and it looks like you get to choose 3 different traits. Now, looking at these, sadly we don't get to see Taskmaster, Terra Firma, United Colonies Native, or Unwanted Hero, and it looks like the scroll bar goes down even further than that, so we're not seeing all of them. But I quite like the idea of having a starter home. I think I will be hitting that one up. But yes, lots of them have got pros and cons that come with them, and I love the fact that you can choose up to 3, so you can really home your actual narrative for your character. So let me know inside of the viewerverse what ones you're going to be hitting up for your character. Heck yes. So people, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I'm going to be bringing you all Starfield news, speculation, hype, things I've spotted, all that sort of shenanigans. So if you like this video, there's more on its way. And hopefully once this game launches, it's going to be my companion game on my channel, No Man's Sky, and also Starfield. So stay tuned. This is freaking epic. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe, and I'd like to say a massive great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers! And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.